Got a loaded show and lots to discuss on today's edition of Warriors Today by Chat Sports. As we got a Quinten Post injury update, I wasn't even aware that he was banged up. But we also have some Warriors roster news and some Steph Curry comments about the 25-26 campaign and what Golden State looks like at this point. And then we'll round out today's show with some Jonathan Kuminga Suns trade rumors and some trade proposals, as well as when we initially revealed that a new team was interested. We didn't actually come up with any mock trades. So we'll bring you a couple of those on the back half of today's show. Before we get into all of that, though, make sure you are subscribed to the channel. This is our July sub leaderboard with all of our channels that cover the NBA here at Chat Sports. And Warriors Today, we're middle of the pack right now. But if you look at total subscribers, we're at the top. So this needs to change right now. I need diehard Warriors fans to go down below and hit that subscribe button. It's 100% free Warriors content. Let's try to catch the Heat report and see if we can get up to Knicks now by the end of the month. All right, let's talk about it, man, because Quinten Post missed Summer League. And I had kind of been like, okay, well, maybe they don't want to play Quinten Post in Summer League. They view him already as such an established part of their rotation that they don't feel the need to play him in the summer circuit with the rookies and the guys that are trying to, get their ticket into the NBA. But it is actually not because they have full faith in him. I'm sure that they are confident in his abilities next season heading into year 2, but it's actually because of a injury. And Danny Emmerman was out in Vegas. He was hanging out with Quinten Post, and he got the skinny on what's going on with QP. He said this. He said, I saw more playing time than Warriors center Quinten Post, who was held out because an ankle injury that bothered him in the second half of the season flared up in the weeks before the California Classic. So instead of taking important reps, Post worked out in Golden State's facility and watched the games courtside. Look, I totally understand wanting to kind of keep Quinten Post on ice. When you think about the responsibility that will be on his shoulders next season, coupled with what the Warriors front court looks like right now, you're going to need to kind of minimize risk when it comes to Quinten Post. And I'm glad that he is working out, he is, kind of getting in the whole basketball mode. He's just not, doing 5v5 action right now as he recovers from this ankle injury. And like I said, he's going to have a massive responsibility next season, whether the Warriors bring in another center that could start on this roster or not. QP's set to be playing 20 to 25 plus minutes a night next season, and I'm confident in him to do so. I think he got better as the season went on. Remember, was brought over in late January, and his contract was turned from a two-way into a standard deal. And then, once February, the calendar shifted to February, and the Warriors made this Jimmy Butler trade, QP was dominating out there. I mean, February and March, this guy was a 10-point-per-game scorer, shooting it at a 42.5% clip from three-point range. And this isn't on, one attempt a night. He's not getting spot minutes here. This is starting action. He started 5 games in February, 7 games in March. He was a big part of the Warriors being on a 60-win pace to end this past season. He's doing this on 4, 5, 3-point attempts a game. Uber green light, super confident player, and I can't wait to see how his offensive game progresses over next season and beyond. Now, as far as what Quinten Post was doing during Summer League, like Emmerman said, he spent his time courtside watching the Warriors roster go at it. And a couple of other Warriors Summer League alums were also in the mix as well. Brandon Pajemski, Trace Jackson-Davis, Guy Santos were all on the Warriors. I guess they're in attendance watching the Warriors game, all courtside, hanging out. And they've just basking in this nice sun up in Vegas and enjoying their offseason as they don't have to be a part of this anymore. TJD and Pods did play Summer League last year, but after I think it was 2 or 3 games, they decided that they were probably too good for that competition. And in Quinten Post's case, what was he doing, outside of whenever the Warriors were playing in Summer League? He was out there just working on his game, and not his basketball game, his chess game, as Derrick Rose hosted a chestival over in Vegas during Summer League, and a bunch of different NBA personnel were playing. I think Daryl Morey was playing, D'Anthony Melton was playing, Rajon Rondo, obviously D. Rose, who set the whole thing up. And in this photo, Quinten Post is going head-to-head against Drew Gooden, former NBA player, and each of them have either a grandmaster or a very high-ranking chess player with them, kind of guiding them along. But QP in one of the rounds that they were playing with, he got in the main bracket. He got eliminated the semifinals. But during the blitz round, he was taking names. He was cooking. So I love that he's got the good stuff in between the ears. High IQ player, and it's very evident that he was down when he was dominating in the chess game over in Summer League. Just a quick, fun tidbit. You don't always get to see these types of things in the offseason of all these awesome players. But with that being said, be honest for me down in the comments section, as QP is going to have a big responsibility next season. Whether or not the Warriors bring in a center, whether or not Al Horford makes his way to the Bay Area, QP is in line for a big workload next season. So what's your confidence level in him? Scale for me down in the comments, 1 through 10. 1 being he's cooked, don't ever play him. 10 being he's going to take the Warriors to the promised land. You let me know down in the chat in the comment section. All right. Now, it did say that Pods, TJD, Quinten Post, and Guy Santos were all hanging out courtside during the Warriors Summer League games. Well, they had more than just those 4. Actually, Kevin Knox was hanging out with them, who had a weird, he was on a 2-way, and then he ended up getting his contract converted to a rest of season deal when the Warriors were kind of maneuvering around the NBA roster requirements after the trade deadline. Remember, they sent away 4 players in exchange for Butler, so things were kind of wishy-washy towards the end of the season. Knox ended up being a part of that, a part of the Warriors roster there, and was on the Warriors bench for all of the postseason as well. As far as what he did for Golden State, didn't do much. Kind of got in for a couple different, blowout appearances, and most notably, he had a solid outing. I think he had 12 points against Charlotte when Golden State won the game by 40. Other than that, though, not much to write home about for Kevin Knox. Solid defender, decent enough athlete, but at this point, especially with the the role that he has, it's very tough to be a super efficient three-point shooter or outside jump shooter. So clearly, that wasn't evident in his game at this point. But the Warriors could absolutely bring him back. They only have 9 roster spots filled at this point, and it seems like with him hanging around all the guys who he was a part of the roster with last year, it seems like there's a decent chance that he ends up getting brought back by Golden State. So be on the lookout for a Kevin Knox signing, whether it be a 2-way or some other kind of less than minimum contract that Kevin Knox was signed to come back to Golden State, because it seemed like he was fitting in pretty nicely there with all of the culture. Now, as far as the rest of those 9 roster spots that are being filled right now, I know a lot of Warriors fans aren't necessarily super confident in this group, and a lot of people are like, what's going on with this roster? It's garbage. This is a disservice to Steph and company. But Steph doesn't share that same sentiment. He is feeling pretty confident in this group, which we're about to show you a quote from him, but it just really feels tonally different than it was back before the 2024-25 season started, or even the 23-24 season began. So Steph, it really seems like to me, as we'll read this quote, that he's a lot more confident in this group heading into next season. Here's what he had to say. He said the narrative outside versus the narrative inside might not always be the same. We talk. We have communication. I know what's going on to the point where I have a lot of confidence in our ability to put together a winning team next year. That's all I want. I'm not going to shake my head or scoff at Steph saying that he's comfortable going into next season with this crew. And he is also probably pretty tapped in behind the scenes as well. He knows about the impending Al Horford signing that's coming, or the Anthony Melton signing that would be there to follow. Obviously, we know that everything has to kind of come back to Jonathan Kuminga at the end of the day in order for the Warriors to get on with the rest of their offseason. So we'll talk a little bit of Kuminga in just a moment. Make sure, though, before you do, get hooked up with this awesome Warriors 2025 playoff shirt that's going for the low right now. Less than half. This thing is literally half off. Straight up half off. Go get it at this link right here. chatsports.com/win4bay. I know they didn't win the NBA Finals, but you'd be lying if you said this Warriors season wasn't a success following the Jimmy Butler trade, and I think this shirt's pretty dope. So get yours today for the low, $18. chatsports.com/win4bay. I'll put that link in the comment section and description of today's video to make it easy for you guys. Go get yourself some Warriors 2025 playoff merch today. Okay, so I wanted to go into this with kind of transitioning from Steph's comments, because this has to do with Steph here. So Mike Dunleavy had made a comment about Jonathan Kuminga. He was being interviewed during a Summer League game, and he had said that based on his play after Steph Curry went down in Game 1 against the Timberwolves, that a big reason that he would want to bring Jonathan Kuminga back is his performances against Minnesota during those 4 games. Now, I won't sit here and say that Jonathan Kuminga played bad against the Minnesota Timberwolves. No, he absolutely balled out. 24 points a night, 55 from the field, good efficiency from three-point range as well. He's playing with confidence out there. But the same reason that Mike Dunleavy is saying a big reason that I want to bring him back is probably the same reason that Jonathan Kuminga doesn't want to stay in Golden State to begin with. Because how did he get this opportunity? How did he get this production? By Steph Curry going down. A player that he doesn't really fit all that well next to. So, yeah, he had this awesome outing. He put up these awesome numbers, but it wasn't with the Golden State team that was meant to be out there. It wasn't within the system, within the offensive flow of what Golden State is trying to do. They literally had to put Jonathan Kuminga out there and tailor everything around his heliocentric pound the ball offense. And guess what happened? They lost all 4 times. And I'm not saying that Kuminga is to blame for all those losses. Look, there was clearly not enough help throughout the rest of the Warriors' rotation. But it's interesting to me that puts up all these great numbers and they just don't end up resulting in wins. And even down the stretch of some of those closer games, like, where was Kuminga? I don't know. But I will say, like, who knows what's going to happen. Like, we just read yesterday that this could leak all the way into August. So we'll see how long this ends up taking. As far as what we know about potential trade partners for Kuminga later down the line, the Suns are the latest team to express interest in JK. They just brought in his former G League Ignite teammate in Jalen Green. And they lose out on Kevin Durant this offseason as well, when they had been interested in Kuminga way back when the Warriors were trying to deal for Durant back in February. So they're coming back into the fold now as they try to probably replace Durant and find a new wing for that young core surrounded around Devin Booker. Now, the hang-up with not only the Warriors re-signing Kuminga, but also finding a trade partner for JK is that he is not really living in reality. He wants $25 million per season. I wouldn't give it to him. Look, you guys know I wouldn't. And you guys can clown me in the comment section all you want. But he wants $25 million a year, and there hasn't been a deal get done yet. And teams really haven't seriously pursued Jonathan Kuminga to this point. So it seems like the only people in the entire NBA who think that he's worth $25 million a year are the Golden State Warriors themselves. Let's get into some Suns and Warriors trade proposals for Kuminga here, because there's really only a couple of options and scenarios that could play out that make sense financially for both sides. Now, these are both teams that are taxpayers, or will be taxpayers with this deal going down. So they have to get the money pretty situated, pretty similar in order to even make a deal go down between two sides. So in this first option, the Warriors would get Royce O'Neal and Nick Richards in exchange for Jonathan Kuminga. Look, I understand you guys would be mad at this, but be mad at Joe Lacob, who didn't trade him for fucking Pascal Siakam last year. Be mad at Joe Lacob, who didn't trade him for Lauri Markkanen last year, for Paul George last year. And I know PG was hurt in a bad season, all that stuff. I would have still rather had that than Jonathan Kuminga. Trust me. It is downright ridiculous. But let's look at it from where we are now, because we can't change the past, can't go back and fix the past. Let's look at it from where we are right now. And that's what Jonathan Kuminga's value dictates, by the way. Devin Carter and Dario Saric, Royce O'Neal and Nick Richards. That is what the market has said that Kuminga is going to go and get. Now, the plus side about this trade is that it does leave Golden State a little bit financially flexible. They'll still have the taxpayer mid-level to go out there and sign Horford. They'll have the vet mins to go out and sign DeAnthony Melton and maybe a Steph Curry and whoever else is out there on the free agent market, and as well as their rookies as well. So you become a little bit flexible here while also acquiring two solid rotation players. Both those guys can play in this league. Royce O'Neal shot the corner three at a 40% clip last season on a bunch of attempts. So he still can absolutely play solid 3-and-D wing. This is an interesting trade. I don't know if I would 100% be in on it, but at this point, I just want Kuminga on a new team to start next season. Now, there's another option that we could go down, and this is a little bit more unrealistic, I'll be honest with you guys, just straight up, not only because you're probably getting a better player overall at the top, but we'll reveal, I guess, the rest of why this is unrealistic in a moment. Grayson Allen with Nick Richards this time, as a couple second-round picks were proposed in exchange for Jonathan Kuminga. Now, why is this trade unrealistic? Well, for one, it's better players coming back. You're getting a better haul, technically. But Grayson Allen also makes $18 million a season for the next 3 seasons. So that not only would probably financially constrict Golden State a little bit more in a deal, but I don't think they want that type of contract on their books at this point. Brett Siegel came in saying this. He says, I've heard the Suns brought up in potential Kuminga trade suitors, especially given their interest in him at the trade deadline when the Kevin Durant stuff went down. He said, however, the Suns' main contract that would be moved is Grayson Allen, and that's a contract the Dubs don't want. So it doesn't look all likely that a Grayson Allen will be wearing a Warriors jersey in exchange for Jonathan Kuminga or at all over the next couple of seasons, as long as he's making that type of price tag. So with that being said, there aren't a ton of avenues to go down to trade Kuminga to the Suns. You let me know which one you'd rather take down in the comment section. If it's trade number 1 that gets Royce O'Neal over to Golden State, give me a 1 down below. If it's number 2, where you're talking about Grayson Allen instead of Royce O'Neal, drop a 2 down in the comment section. I'm trying to hear from Dub Nation. I know Everybody's probably going to say these two trades are horrible and Kuminga's an all-star and all this stuff. Well, you know what? I'm kind of just tired of hearing that. You let me know which one you'd pick down in the comment section. And make sure you are subscribed to the channel for the best Warriors offseason content all summer long. Lock us in. We'll keep you guys tapped in with the Kuminga saga and any new injury updates that we hear on this Warriors roster, any signings that they make, because it's been a fat zero so far. We'll see you guys all in the next one. And as always, let's go Dubs.